Okay, guys, so this is the video that both of them shared this morning. And was it this morning, like today, Sunday?
Yes, Sunday. Today's
Sunday.
morning.
Okay, so
Well, why you keep
no, because I'm just reminding me that it's English. I mean, it's a Sunday morning.
Mhm.
So one of these pastors, it's here in our city, the one in the left,
Yes, Jack.
and
Freeman.
Jack Freeman. So basically, Jack Freeman was not in the Dominical this morning.
No, he
He
was there to
was
attend.
attending this place. Sorry, I keep on putting that. So they were attending this place, and for me, it was like, what? He's listening to the concert where we're not allowed to in back then. But like you say, it's a new era. Now they're doing this because they're trying to defend uh, the church when the church is not being attacked. And that's why we opened this program, because we're going to explain to you about the documents that the fiscal was sent back to the defense. And next week, May 23rd,
next Saturday.
Friday, next Friday.
Oh, next Friday. Yes,
May
next Friday.
23rd, the defense is going to go back and answer, which is the lawyers, Nazon's lawyers are going to go back and answer to the fiscal, the motion that the government sent to them. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to try to do it as fast as we can, which is going to take about 2 hours. But let me go ahead and put it on the stage so we can start talking about it. If you have anybody who speaks English, say hi to us so we can know that we're being heard. Because I feel weird to be doing an English program where we have people that don't speak English. But I know that because of your friends and the people that know us have been telling us that to do an English one, explaining for them only, that's why we're doing it. But if you're here, don't forget to leave your like. That way we can.
If you want to hear it in Spanish, we did this.
Yeah, we hear it in
Saturday.
Spanish.
We did it last Saturday on the Saturdays, May the 9th.
May the 9th. So it's actually. So it's actually the program before this one.
We're working on doing this live in English, and even here on our channel. So that's the reason we're doing it in English. And once again, next Saturday we will bring the new motion, which will be the response to this letter that the Jay has sent to the judge, Miss. So what we're bringing here on the channel and is for you to have both sides. What Nazon's lawyer stated a month ago, and now we have the prosecution, Jay Clayton, responded this past Friday, May the 8th. Now on May the 23rd, on May the 23rd, the lawyers, Mr. Alan Jackson or Kayla Mason, which usually responds for Alan Jackson, will submit their response to this letter. So it's going to be a back and forth, and these are all agreements. All days that they agreed. That's why we know when these letters are supposed to be, where these motions are supposed to be submitted, and we have the information. It's not we have. That's the reason we have this information, because it was already agreed upon both sides when this certain information was going to come out and when those dates were going to be presented, right? So that's the reason we have that information of what dates are what's going to happen on what dates.
You want me to put it on, just to
put it on,
give a real quick?
Can do it real quick.
Okay, real quick. Right
so
here.
So that's the reason we have the information. It's not that we're that smart.
Hey, you are smart.
We're not that smart. There was an agreement that they already had made between the Mr. Jay Clayton, which is the prosecutor, and Mr. Kayla Mason had agreed upon these dates to when they were going to be releasing and what there's going to be happening within the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
once again, if you want to.
But just to recap, on April the 10th, the defense asked for the grand jury information.
And we have the live here in our timeline.
It's a 5 hour long, but then also she took the time to divide the English part and the Spanish part. So if you want to just hear the English, we have it here on English. If you want to hear just the Spanish part of the April 10th of the defense, which is Alan Jackson's lawyer, Alan Jackson, the lawyer, or Kayla Mason is the one who submitted that motion, is the motion for the defense asking for the grand jury information,
Transcripts.
Thank you for that word. So that was May the 10th. Then May the 8th, which is a week ago.
We're doing right now.
That when we did in Spanish a week ago on Saturday, that the government responded. So that's what we have. What we'll be reading today is the English part of it. It's the May 8th motion to their response to Kayla Mason and what they responded to them. Then on next week, next Saturday, we will have the defense reply. Well, actually, it will be on Friday, but depending on what time on Friday they release it, it's.
But we do like Saturday morning,
we'll
maybe?
be probably live on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Bringing it until May the 24th. We will be here live Saturday morning, reading what the defense has replied onto the letter that the motion that they were gonna read.
And it's gonna be very interesting because a lot of things have happened
between then
and now.
And now, yes, right.
And
so
they might use that as a.
They might use a lot of information. I just not gonna bring it.
We're gonna talk about it really, really good, but if
there's
you're
things
following,
that have happened,
if you're following
we cannot bring it here.
If you want to know, if you know Leroy, then you can call him and ask him what actually happened and what.
But I'm not gonna bring that in
here
in our channel here. There's just private information that.
I mean, it's not private because that person made it public, but it's private because we do not want to talk about certain people, and it might affect the case. So we just gonna keep.
So anyway, so we'll see what comes up on May the 23rd, and then on July the 24th will be another date that they stated that where all defenses, both the
government,
the prosecution, and Nason's lawyers will have their final motions be presented by July the 24th. And then on August the 23rd is by the defense. Defense has to put any of the motions that they need by July the 24th. By August the 23rd, the government then will respond to all the motions.
You know what I'm just noticing? August 23rd, the government responds to all motions, not both of them. No. It's just the government. Right. Oh.
July the 24th.
Yeah, and
all defense,
legal
all the Alan Jacksons would have any other new motions besides the motion that responding to this motion that here. Then on July the 24th, the
deadline for him, and
there
then
will be any other new motions that he wants to add on.
Okay,
will be on July the 24th,
and then August 23rd, the government. I cannot see. Doing these lives helps me understand a lot of things that are going on because now that you're reading, I'm like, wait. The deadline for all legal defense means the lawyers and so on.
Right.
All defense legal motions, they have until July 24th.
Right.
And then August 23rd, the government responds to all the motions.
Any motion.
And that's it.
That's it.
And then September 11th,
the defense will respond.
Reply.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And then the September 23rd, that's where
all of them
connect.
Right.
And they
will be in court. That's when they'll be in court, and then the judge is going to decide. They're just not going to do any movement here.
Right now,
this is only going to be between here and September.
And that's
23rd.
what the defense that's what the government told the defense. Nothing's going to happen right now. You have to wait until.
Basically to September 23rd
to see what decision she makes.
Right.
For
all motions.
For what they're asking for.
They're going to go back and forth between all these different motions.
Okay.
Just like they did in the California case. But the California case, we didn't go in all these dates.
Right. I mean, they were there, but we didn't.
Right. We didn't follow all the different
motions. But you did follow.
Right. I was following them, but you weren't. But the point is here now we have dates that they actually agreed upon when things were going to be submitted, which happens in all court cases. They always agree upon dates that things are going to be happening.
And but
no one talks about all this information, right?
Exactly.
So, but now
that we're doing here
on our channel, we're bringing up all the information and putting it out there that the audience can hear and know what's going to happen and can follow date by date and be expecting August 24th will be all the motions, any new motions that the defense wants to put in will be put in on
July
24th.
24th.
July 24th.
Mhm.
On August the 23rd, the government will respond. And then on September
Yes.
11th, the defense will have the right to respond to anything that the government said. By this time, they will have all
December.
these different motions happening, right?
Right.
And then by September 11th, September the 23rd,
Then
the judge, they'll be presented once again in front of Judge Mrs. Prescott, the Judge Loretta Prescott. And in that time, then she will make a ruling of what motions will stay and what motions will be dismissed.
and just for
that's what it
just
is.
for that,
That's how courts go.
and-
It's nothing that they're doing something different for Nazon's case. This is how all court hearings happen. We just had a case for one of our friends. You know, they went through 2 whole years before they can even get into court. And during those 2 whole years, so many things happened. And they dismissed some charges that, yes, we were upset that they dismissed charges on that person. We were upset that they released two certain persons
two people that were
that
involved.
were involved, and they got
Yes.
released. So we're upset because they released them, they were involved and all this, but we see it in those court cases. I was following that case because it was one of our friends' cases. I follow it just like I'm following this one. So why all those movements were happening. Now in this case, which we're following here, the Nazon case, well, things like this happen, except now we put it all in order and we put the dates and we have all the dates that they already agreed upon. The judge didn't make this agreement. Once again, I just want to make the audience know the judge did not put these dates.
Exactly.
The prosecution and
Mhm.
then Nazon's lawyers convened and they agreed upon these dates. They agreed that these were the dates and these were the things that
They
were gonna
agreed
happen.
on March 10th. And if you go back to listen to the motion for March 10th, because it was moved, it was on the 12th, right?
Right.
And then the judge made it happen at 2 days before. So that day, if I recall right, let me know if I'm wrong, but that day
Mhm.
the judge came in late, 1 hour late, I
Mhm.
believe. So when the judge comes to the stand and the lawyers, the Nazon and the prosecution told the judge, meanwhile, you were late, you were not here, we took the time to look at the calendars and agree
on dates
and
what was going to happen on certain dates.
Exactly. So these dates were not made by the judge or by the United States. It was an agreement between Nazon's legal defense and the prosecutor.
And the prosecution, right.
And I would like for you to, before we start this.
So an actual court hearing that they will all be present, which will be Nazon, Eva, and Joram, will be present, will be until September the 23rd.
Yes.
September 23rd would be an actual court hearing that they will all have to appear. And at that point, once again, the judge will make a ruling for what motions stay and what motions dismiss.
Mm-hmm.
And in between here and there, there's a lot of factors that can happen. And another thing that can happen is if they arrest any of the 3 that are fugitives, this whole case makes a whole new turnaround. And guess what? We start all over again from the beginning.
Oh, wow.
For just so the audience knows, if any time between here and any day of these, anything happens, if they, let's say that tomorrow or during this week, they arrest Salem Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? The whole case basically starts over again. The
Why?
case starts because now they have a new person that they will have introduced into the court, and the lawyers.
Now will be a new investigation?
No, not a new investigation. Based that they will have now once again you'll have to plead guilty and not guilty, so they'll have to have a court hearing for that. And this is with whoever. If let's say tomorrow they arrest Azalea Blanquet and she gets arrested. Well, she needs an appearance for a hearing. to
Oh, wow.
declare herself guilty, not guilty, just like Eva has done it, just like Joram has done it, and she will have to put up her own defense based on why she should have a bail hearing. And this happens with not only with
so that will like kind of pause what's going on.
No, basically it will throw all this out, because then they will have to argue and choose whatever new arguments that they will bring in. Those whole new arguments starts a whole new process.
This is very interesting. I mean, the reason why I'm asking this question is because I'm new to all this, and
It's
whenever you talk about it, I'm like,
system works. It's just the judicial system works in the United States.
Because
they are all three there's 6 that are parties that are involved in this case, and right now we have 3 that are fugitives. We have Salem Garcia, we have Rosy Sosa, and we have Azalea Raquel Garcia. Right? At any point during this, they might have already gotten this far, and next week or the next following month, they arrest any of them 3. They will need their own court hearing. They will have
for the bill. For the bill,
they will have to have a bill hearing. They will have to have their own bill hearing, which once again, that bill hearing we'll have it here. We'll talk about it, what was said in that bill hearing, and then you have a reset. They call it a reset, where they have to see what their argument is going to be, and if they're in the same realm as the arguments that they have produced to the court as of right now. If Azalea comes with different arguments, then those arguments will have to be inputted. So these days will get moved. And also if Salem comes in and he has a different argument, then so all this there's so much of moving parts. But right now, we're only dealing with Nason, Joram, and Eva that are being incarcerated.
And guys, we do not have to be lawyers to know this. Please clarify that, because we're talking about legal stuff, but like you said, that's how everything works in the United States, based on programs, based on files. What are the programs that all these comes out? Like they talk about.
There's a lot of many programs that talk about the court documents and court hearings that are happening day by day. Every day there's court hearings, and anyone here in the United States can appear at any court hearing. And we as the public, we have the right to appear in any court hearing, and that's our right in the U.S. to just appear.
Because there's some people that say like, "Well, you're not a lawyer. Why are you talking about that?"
Why you talk about these are public? This information should only be
for lawyers.
For lawyers,
lawyers should only talk about
in the court system. They should not be released out to the public, and this information should not be read to the public. But here in the United States, we as American citizens, we have the right to know what happens in these cases, and the judge rules what is private and what's not private. And there are things in this case that are private. There's things in this case, in this documents that are not released to the public, not even to us. Only those documents can be seen by the lawyers.
Exactly.
And those are by attorney eyes only. So those documents only can be read by them and seen by them. But any document that's out for the public, any public can get it. And that's what this channel's for informational purpose only. These are documents that are based
public records,
and we are not lawyers. We do not provide legal advice, and we do this as an educational purpose channel to the public, so they can know what's going on with. Once again, we follow the Nason Joaquin case in this channel. So, go ahead.
Hola. The reason why I'm asking you these questions is because me as a public, I'm like, I ignore a lot of things. But since you watch all these different programs and you like all these, you have information that not a lot of us have access to or are interested in, because it doesn't seem interesting at the moment that you're looking at any other case. But in this case, we're interested in this case because it's Nason.
Right.
Before we
organization, right?
Before we continue, hola, I group channel. And you know what? As a matter of fact, Innovation Group, I was watching your program last time, and you were saying that we, as U.S. citizens, we can have access to all this information. You can call the courts, you can call the lawyers, you can ask them questions. And I believe he has had like two lawyers, right?
Right.
Alondra's lawyer, Alondra's lawyer, and what are the other lawyer?
And
I start Janetti.
Janetti, yes.
Yes. So he's not gonna let us lie right here. He was stating that as U.S. citizens in the United States, basically you can get all that information. It's not secret. It's not. I mean, whatever the judge thinks that it's fair to share, then we do. Saludos, herederos. Saludos, José Mora. Gracias. Estamos haciendo el programa en inglés porque ya lo hicimos en español. Un programa anterior que todo lo que vamos a decir ahorita está en español para que lo vayan a oír. Ahora vamos a hablarlo en inglés porque hay gente que le preguntó a Rogelio que lo hiciera en español porque no entendieron mucho lo del inglés, solo que aquí estamos. Pero dejen su like antes de irse. Si deciden irse, dejen su like, por favor. Gracias y saludos. ¿Empezamos? So we start? Okay. Can I share this with them? Can I share this with them before? It's very interesting. Or we're gonna split that. We're gonna like.
If you want, you might whatever you want to start at.
Okay. It's about why he says that it needs to be. Okay. I'm gonna share something with you before we go, so you can have an idea of what this motion talks about, and check this out. Oh, not that one. Hold on. This one. You want to read it?
Oh, you want me to read it? Oh, okay. It says, Nason, nonetheless, asserts that the indictment will need to be dismissed because he had a free exercise right to coerce adults to participate in commercial sex acts if the means of coercion, including promising spiritual blessings to victims, threatening victims with spiritual damnation, and other harms, and otherwise making threats that relate to the victim's religious beliefs. Basically, it's stating that. I mean, we're gonna read it. It's in the motion here. We're gonna read, but
that's one of the things that caught my attention.
It's not. It's basically saying that in Nason's religious belief, you believe in Nason's religion, basically he believes that you should have just commit to his sex acts and not have been threatened or feel you were threatened or feel that your family was being threatened if you did not follow.
He has a right basically to do whatever. He has a right to do whatever the indictment says he has a right to, right?
Yes.
It's going to be part of this. I just wanted to share with you, just in case you don't stay until the end. Come back, see it tomorrow, watch it tomorrow, whatever. But this is one of
just like he has a right to ask for
ofrendas or tithes,
for tithes and for your diezmos and for your offerings and for anything else that the church asks for. He had the right to ask, basically, to have sexual intercourse with him. And that should have been considered a blessing, just like all other blessings that are in the church. And this is the defense. This is part of what the defense is arguing, that basically Nason's lawyers argue that he has the right to freedom of religion. In that freedom of religion, it's stating that if you believe in him and you believe he was a man of God, well, he had the right to you at all costs. So
yes. So, okay. After a whole introduction, after a whole things, catching up on things that are going on in the light of the world, and I like that we talk about Bixby and we talk about Jack Freeman this morning. I mean, about what happened this morning, because those are actually things that are happening here in the United States that a lot of people are not following, and follow them. And you get that information, show it to me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on and why they do I mean, it's not just a post. It's not a Facebook post. It's not just a post of somebody who's in an event. There's a purpose for that post. So that's why we shared it, and that's why we wanted you to see it, what actually is going on in the United States.
And also, once again, the persons that are involved in that event are not just anyone. They're persons that are the spokespersons for the church. And like I
In
said,
the United States.
and one of them is uncle to Xochitl Martin, which he has stated to the American news media that he did not know who Xochitl Martin was, and he did not have no ties to Xochitl Martin, when we all know here in the United States that he is the uncle to Xochitl Martin. So at the moment that he stated that to the American news media, well, he was basically lying to them and saying that he did not know who Xochitl Martin was
In the beginning, right?
Right, because he's the English spokesperson for the church, the Lively World Church, and when he gave an interview to the American news media, he stated that he did not know who Xochitl Martin was, and he did not have no ties to Xochitl Martin, but in fact, he is the uncle.
He's her tío.
Her uncle, through her aunt, and so he did know who Xochitl Martin was, and he does has ties to Xochitl Martin.
Yes. So here is the document, the motion that was done on May 8th, 2026, and it says from the United States District, VS Nason Joaquín García, Eva García de Joaquín, y Joram Núñez Joaquín. And those are the defendants. So here's Jay Clayton, which is the United States attorney from the Southern District of New York. And we're not going to read all that, the table of contents, because basically we're going to read the document. So we're going to start in page 6 of 21. And Innovation says, notice how they are calling out the Joaquin LLDM enterprise separate. Notice how they are calling out the Joaquin LLDM enterprise separate from LLDM Church. It's mind-blowing. It is on the intro, I think. Yes. Yes.
And that's exactly why Big Lai and Jack Freeman are doing over at that Freedom event today that we presented here at the beginning of the channel. Is that?
Can you guys hear us? I have the AC on just real quick. Or maybe now we can talk a little bit loud. You can hear?
Yeah, I hear us.
Yeah? Okay.
Okay, I'm happy.
No. Oh, okay. You hear me.
I will tell you in minutes.
Okay.
So yes, and that's what they're trying to. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to separate themselves and tell the world we are not the Joaquin Fund enterprise. We are La Luz del Mundo, and they're trying to tell the world that they are being attacked by the government, and that's what their main focus is on. Anyways, let's continue.
All right. So we're going to go to page 6. And go ahead.
Okay, I'll start reading.
Yeah, the preliminary statement.
So here's to you, the English-speaking audience, because you've been asking for it all week.
Yes.
When are you gonna do the English one, right? Here we are. So here we are, guys.
Sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's September 2.
So on September 2nd, 2025, a grand jury in the district returned an indictment S1 25 CR 337 LAP LAP, charging defendants Nason Joaquin Garcia or Nason, Eva Garcia de Joaquin, Eva, Joram Núñez Joaquin, Joram, and others with a long-running criminal conspiracy to sexually traffic and abuse women and children, create child pornography, perpetrate financial crimes, and obstruct justice. And you can look at it on document 4, which you can go and look for our live where we read all the indictment, so you can see it there. The 31-page indictment describes in considerable detail the various ways the grand jury found the defendants perpetrate these crimes, providing the defendants ample notice and opportunity to prepare to meet the evidence at trial. Nevertheless, Nason and Joram, joined by Eva, have filed extraordinary motions to unseal all the transcripts and exhibits presented to the grand jury, documents that are subject to a centuries-old presumption of secrecy. Ostensibly to aid their forthcoming motions to dismiss the indictment. And documents 51 to 53, once again. Docket 51 to 53. Once again, all these dockets and information here is on our channel, previous documents. You can go find them there and hear what they were stated in those docs. The defendant comes nowhere close to making the particularized and compelling showing of government misconduct needed to review the powerful presumptions of grand jury secrecy and regularity. Moreover, none of the routine claims the defendants intend to raise in their anticipated motions will result in the dismissal of any count, and granting the unusual release of unsealed the grand jury materials is not going to change that. The motions to unseal the grand jury materials should be denied.
Let me pause right here real quick. Before we keep on going, just remind you that Nason and his lawyers are asking to see the documents, the grand jury transcripts, what happened before the indictment. So basically, he's saying right here in the first paragraph, it says a 31-page indictment described in considerable detail the various ways the grand jury found the defendants perpetrated these crimes, providing the defendants ample notice. Basically, the indictment, it doesn't cover everything. It just covers whatever it needs to provide the defendants ample notice and opportunity to prepare to meet the evidence at trial.
Right.
That's the purpose of the indictment.
Basically, that's what you're trying to say. That the purpose of an indictment is not to provide you with all the information, not to provide you with all the evidence and everything that was presented to the grand jury. The indictment is just why the words go out of my head. It's going there out of an indictment is just a form to put it into words of what did they expect that was coming in the case it goes to trial. This is what this is what we have. This is what we have information. Basically, the information we have, what the victims are saying, and it's just to you to get prepared for a trial. This is not going to give you all the information you need for your trial.
Exactly.
And through time, we will provide you with the information you need to take it to trial and to create your own defense. That's what the indictments.
Now,
that's what they're trying to tell.
Just basically giving them a chance to prepare for the defense at a trial.
Right.
That's what they're doing. But look at the next sentence, the second paragraph. So, nevertheless, Nason and Joram, joined by Eva, have filed extraordinary motions to unseal all the transcript and exhibits presented to the grand jury, documents that are subject to a centuries-old secrecy. So basically, all documents, it's not usual for people to ask, or the lawyers or even the government, the prosecutors, to ask for these documents because they are secrecy.
The prosecution is the one that provides this to a grand jury. They take what they have obtained and all the information they have, and they present it to a grand jury.
Yeah, but once it's closed.
So they have access to it.
Yes.
Now, the lawyers, the defense, they would, for many, many years, that's why I say it's for a century-long time, all that is kept secrecy. That information that was presented to a grand jury will not be presented to the lawyers at any time.
So
what was said and what was, and then that's what they basically are saying, that it's kept as secrecy to the defense lawyers. but what
Right.
was said and what was presented.
Okay.
And the only thing that's actually presented to the lawyers is an indictment based, and the same indictment we read here is the information they can have based on the information they tend to have and the information that they tend to present in court. And it's just a brief information of what everything that they have in order for them to create their own defense.
Okay.
Right.
And look at the next paragraph. I'm sorry, not the paragraph. The next sentence. It said that defendants come nowhere close to making the particularized and compelling showing of government misconduct needed to rebut the powerful presumption of grand jury secrecy and regularity. My understanding, one of the main reasons that defense can ask for these documents is if they can show that the government had misconduct, right?
Right.
So, misconduct.
They did something that was wrong.
And they keep on mentioning other things that, like, okay, you cannot show, or you did not show in this, what you're arguing right here, you did not show that the government had misconduct. So I just want to read it, that one of the things that it will make it a great reason to open this transcript, that the government has any kind of misconduct. So it said the defendants came nowhere close to making the particularized and compelling showing of the government misconduct needed to rebut the powerful perceptions of grand jury secrecy and regularity.
The word is rebut.
Rebut or rebut? Rebut. Okay. I'm learning. Moreover, none of the routine claims that defendants intend to raise their anticipated motions will result in the dismissal of any court. Moreover, none of the routine claims that defendants intend to raise in their anticipated motion will result in the dismissal of any count. It's anticipating. None of anything you're saying is gonna result in the dismissal of any count. And granting the unusual relief of unsealing the grand jury's material is not going to change that. So nanas, no, it's not gonna happen. The motion to unseal the grand jury materials should be what? Denied. There you go. So keep on reading.
Nason Joaquin Garcia is a convicted child sex offender. In 2017 and 2018, by his own admission, Nason sexually abused 3 minors who were members of the church he leads, La Luz del Mundo, the LLPM church, or the church. That's Finley plead and then trials
Guilty.
in California versus Nason Joaquin Garcia, and that's the case number BA484133. If you want to go find those documents, you can find them under that number. For those crimes, Nason pleaded guilty in California State Court to multiple sex offenses against minors, and he was sentenced to prison. Sentence, trial 87, California versus Nason Joaquin Garcia. Once again, the court number, the case number is there, and he was sentenced on June the 8th of 2022.
Mm-hmm. So basically saying that Nason is convicted and he pleaded himself guilty.
And that's we stated at the beginning of our program that he did plead guilty. We're not the ones saying that he is guilty. It's his own admission. And once again, that's where he did register in the Megan's Law as a sex offender, because he pleaded guilty to these 3 charges, to 3 sexual charges, and the charges are there on that document.
Mm-hmm.
Now, continuing. This is a big point here, a big impact right here. So, guys, listen to this. That was just the tip of the iceberg, as alleged in this case. Once again, we also state that based on that information, based on what he declared himself guilty at that time, that was just the tip of the iceberg. There was so much more that they had against Nason, which he did not plead guilty to.
Could that mean that there's more information in the grand jury that is not in the indictment? Is that basically
that's what they're saying? Yes, there's a lot more. There's a lot more that they have. But here, basically what here is saying that was what he pleaded guilty to was just the tip of the iceberg. There was a lot more that he did not plead guilty to. So that was just the tip of the iceberg. As alleged in this case, Nazon sexually abused and victimized many more LODM church members, and he did not do it alone. Since December 2014, Nazon has led a criminal conspiracy, the Joaquin LLDM Enterprise.
The what?
The Joaquin LLDM Enterprise.
The church?
The Joaquin LLDM Enterprise.
Just to clarify.
Or the Enterprise.
Just to
Including
clarify.
his mother, Eva Garcia de Joaquin, and his nephew, Joram Nunez Joaquin, and used various methods, principally to enable Nazon to live with impunity. Nazon, with the aid of so-called secretaries, quotations, sexually trafficked and abused girls, boys, and women in the LLDM church, and orchestrated the production of mass amounts of child pornography. Big word here, mass amounts of child pornography.
Massive, is it a lot? Like a lot?
The word massive means a lot,
Like
more
huge.
than one or two.
A lot.
Nazon, facilitated by his financial conspirators, oversaw bank fraud, bulk cash smuggling, structuring, and forced labor schemes to enrich himself and his family and to fund his sex trafficking activities.
Okay, before we keep on going, Nazon, facilitated by his financial conspirators, oversaw bank fraud. We saw that. We heard about that.
Right.
It's in the documents in Mexico as well.
Right.
Okay. Bulk cash smuggling.
A lot
We
of
have
money.
heard testimonies of taking money to Mexico, but to other countries,
under the amount of
$10,000.
$10,000.
Exactly. And then it says structuring and forced labor schemes to enrich himself and his family and to fund his sexual trafficking activities. All the money coming in with and for all this. Okay.
Nazon and Joram, among others, led a cohort of conspirators who systematically,
But you missed some.
which,
And when the women and teenagers.
okay, and when the women and teenagers whom Nazon sexually abused spoke up to expose his crimes, Nazon and Joram, and among others, led a cohort of conspirators who systematically tried to silence them with violence and threats.
And that's where
Nazon, that's where Joram and Selem Garcia are being accused of
trying to silence.
trying to
destroy.
silence a victim and also to
Destroy evidence.
and destroy evidence and to hold captive a person against their own will.
And these guys, this is what the government is saying, but we have heard different testimonies of this happening. So this is not only something that the government have said. There's other things, there are people that have said that.
Right, other victims have said that have beyond testimony. And once again, the detail here about Joram and about Joram
Silen?
and Selem, at the time, it was they made fun of what was said in the court case, in the California court case, when they stated that a victim was being held captive, a victim was then rescued and by the FBI and was brought to the United States and with her and her child and they made fun of it and said, "Oh, what a great story! What a great Hollywood story!
Imagination,
And
yes.
what a great imagination! What a great way of bringing things to." And that's what they were telling the church. And the church were saying, "Oh yeah, that story that they made up about some person being held captive and this person being rescued by the FBI, and or things that they would tell me like, yeah, right, like
Yeah.
these victims they claim, what a crazy story they made up, what a crazy Hollywood is. It's a story made by Hollywood that a person was held captive and then the FBI went in and rescued that person along with the child and it was we have all the details what happened during that event, but we see that time and time again that same scenario, an event is being brought up against the persons that did
The
and
enterprise.
that
The enterprise, not against the church.
now it's been brought into the LDM Joaquin Enterprise, the Joaquin LDM Enterprise, and they have now put it against them. And then we also saw in the defense of Joram Nunez, they brought it up again.
Mhm.
In
The document.
in the indictment, was brought up again. So this supposedly elaborate story back in the day in the California trial, that they created some elaborate story about a victim, and now that elaborate story has now continued, and we see here that they keep on bringing it back up over and over again. How, once again, for those that are part of the church, that you're still there and
Yep.
you're still listening to them, if this was an elaborate story and this was an event that was created just like it was in a Hollywood movie, why do the defense keep on bringing the same event over and over again? Because in Joram's case, his own lawyers brought this event into law and stated that Joram was not part of that event,
Mhm.
that it was somebody else. At the time, in Joram's defense, they did not state who that other person was, but we all know.
But then also the lawyer said, look at the timelines. Joram was there at that time.
Well, that was the defense, but once I'm talking about his own lawyers, Nazon's own lawyers stating it was not putting the blame on Selem, that he's the one that orchestrated the whole event. So once again, if this event was just made up,
They would not even be talking about it.
talking about a fictitious event or a fictitious Hollywood story that they made up, right?
Right.
Once again, they bring it up, right? So when women and teenagers whom Nazon sexually abused spoke up to expose his crimes, Nazon and Joram, among others, led a course of conspirators to systematically try to silence them with violence and threats.
Mhm.
Nazon assumed the leadership of the Joaquin LDM Enterprise with his father, Samuel Joaquin Flores, Samuel, who led the enterprise from 1964 until his death in 2014.
Remember, just wanted to point out, to be a RICO case, this enterprise should have been operating at least 10 years or more. So that's why it qualified to be a RICO case, because it's been
continued
since
from
1964.
1964 until 2014. So
And then
Nazon took over. Right. So Nazon took over enterprise from his father, Samuel Joaquin Flores, who led the enterprise from 1964 until his death in 2014. For decades, Samuel perpetrated similar horrific sexual abuse of women and children who devoted themselves to the LLDM church. Samuel, who relied on conspirators to enable his abuse, including his secretaries and his wife, Eva. Eva and other members of the Joaquin LLDM enterprise helped identify young LLDM church members for Samuel, preparing those girls for Samuel's abuse, and when necessary, physically held children down so that Samuel could rape them. These are allegations that are being brought towards the LLDM enterprise.
It says for decades, Samuel perpetrated similarly horrific sexual abuse of women and children who devoted themselves to the light of the LLDM church. Similarity horrific means that the same as acts of describing a son. Similarity horrific sexual abuse. Now it keeps on saying Eva and other members of the Joaquin and it's just just to remind you, we have heard this outside on videos and testimonies and people talking about it, that Eva and other members of the Joaquin LLDM enterprise helped identify young LLDM church members for Samuel, prepare those girls for Samuel's abuse, and when necessary, held children down so that Samuel could rape them. Wow, this is very, very.
And those testimonies are out there. They're on documents. They're out on documentaries. They're all on YouTube podcasts. So you can find those testimonies.
As a matter of fact, we do have a video. We do have a testimony on YouTube where one of the victims talks about this.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Keep on going.
The Joaquin LLDM enterprise used various means to compel their victims to submit to sex trafficking abuse. They use physical force and threats of physical force to make women and children comply with the enterprise sexual demands. They threaten to cut victims off from their families and support networks within the LDM church if the victims did not agree to have sex at Nazon's or Samuel's directions. And they manipulated and abused the culture of the LDM church, which taught obedience to church leadership to turn church members who feared damnation and others' harms into victims of sex crimes.
Yeah, they threaten to cut victims.
And those who were part of the organization, we believe in those men. We believe on Samuel. We believe, that these men were men of God. We were totally brainwashed.
And even we didn't
I would call it. I was brainwashed to believe that they were men of God, that they were men and that's the reason I work tirelessly and year after year in Berea, and because I believe by working in Berea, by working for them, I was helping to tell the world who these men were, that these were men of God, and that they brought the world salvation, and they brought the world our faith, to show the world our faith, and how we were a community, we love one another, and as well. I'm not going to go into detail, but that's why I devoted so much time and effort in because I believe in what, just like these members that they say.
Let me do a small parenthesis here. For those who say this is not true, the members of the Light of the World that say this is not true, what are we going through? What are all the members or the ex-members who left for certain reasons, especially for not believing anymore in the apostle, what do we go through? Why they themselves members of the Light of the World don't talk to us anymore? Why? If this is not true, why are we being cut off? And we're not even sexual victims. We only decided to step out
and leave.
So don't tell me, no, she's lying, this is not true.
Because we see it every day.
We're seeing it
in our daily lives.
In our daily lives, we're seeing it. So this is true. It is that way.
They come across you and they turn around. They act like they don't know you after you actually had dinners and you had.
I had them in my house.
We had them in our home. We had them. We went in their homes. We had them. We were friends. And now today they look at us and they step away and they turn around and they act like they. And then that one person that actually called and said, "I'm going to call the security. I'm going to call the security." I'm like, what am I doing to you? All I did was say hi. I said hi to this one person, and she turned around and said, "If you don't get away from me, I'm going to call security." I'm like, she was making a scene and that person actually, we gave her a place in our home.
We gave her one of our bedrooms.
And we gave one of our bedrooms so that person could have a place to stay
during
the time of her necessity. Time that she needed it, when even the organization even told her. Anyways, I'm not going to go into details, but the point is, I came across this person, and this person started screaming and shouting in a grocery store that if I didn't get away, that that she needed the security, she needed someone, management. She
Because
needed
they're
somebody,
being told
and
that not to
because
talk to
and
us.
all I did was went up to her like many times I did and said, "Hi, how you do?" And I even said in their own words, "La paz, señor, hermana." I even said it in their own words to try to make it a conversation or just to say hi. And she acted like I was about to do something bad to her. So I said, okay, I walked away and I left.
But that person used to ask you for hugs.
For hugs.
That person
And
came
say,
to
oh,
ask
sister,
if
oh,
she
brother, I need a hug.
for help.
I need help because I'm going through this and that. And oh, sister, you're going to be fine. And I would kind of encourage her. And
We
then
even opened the door of our house.
anyways, that's too much
I
information.
mean, it's too much information, but I just
but
want
it
to
fits here.
make
It fits here
yeah
of how you get of
cut
how
from your family.
you get cut from your family, you get cut from who the community is just because we left. Not that we ever stayed, nothing happened to us.
Now that we're accusing him, we're not even accusing him. We just left because we believed that all these, based on what we have seen, based on what we have heard, and based on what we have read, we decided to believe.
and
And
the victims that we've read and we know who they are and have come across
we
throughout
went
the
to
times.
school
We knew the victim. We know some of the victims. We know them personally, so we believe their story.
Exactly. So it is. I mean, just to. But hold on. There's a question that Diagnostic Fix is asking. It says, is it possible that they can prohibit them to use the name LLDM like an organization for these crimes that they have committed?
Can they use LDM?
But they're not accusing the LLDM, right?
Right.
They're
No.
accusing
They're naming it as
LLDM
LLDM
Enterprise.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, they're not naming the whole. LLDM, La Luz del Mundo, is not the only La Luz del Mundo in the United States. If that's his question, that can they use? Ellos es prohíbe que prohíben usar el nombre LLDM como ubicación por esos delitos que hay cometido. LLDM,
Quiero poner una organización por los delitos que han cometido.
bueno, LLDM, iglesias LLDM en los. No es la iglesia.
Aparte no están acusando LLDM como iglesia.
Pero la inicial es LLDM, no es la única iglesia bajo el nombre LLDM. Si buscas abajo church organizations, hay muchas iglesias que se llaman La Luz del Mundo y luego otro nombre.
Pero el punto es que no pueden prohibirle porque no están acusando. La iglesia LLDM no cometió los delitos.
No, pero eso más como le pusieron a la organización.
La organización, pero es
Joaquín.
LLDM Joaquín
Es
Enterprise.
Es el Enterprise, es el que están acusando.
Empresa.
La empresa.
Como empresa. Okay. So I hope we did answer your
creo que
question.
yo entendí que le está diciendo como el nombre LLDM.
Sí. Es probable que le prohíban usar el nombre LLDM como una organización por esos delitos que ya cometieron. Pero no está, lo que yo digo es que no están acusando a la LLDM.
No,
Por eso no pueden prohibirle usar ese nombre. Están acusando a la empresa.
Por eso le pusieron.
Pero ellos le pusieron la empresa, el gobierno le puso la empresa LLDM Joaquín.
Right.
Correcto.
Y aquí lo va a explicar. Lo va a explicar.
Continue.
It's going to explain why who's being accused.
So basically, he's asking if the LLDM can be prohibited to use that name because of the crimes they committed. But I'm explaining to him, for those who were talking in Spanish and didn't understand, what I was saying is that they're not accusing LLDM Church. They're accusing LLDM Joaquin Enterprise.
And they're going to explain it.
Explain why. So,
they're going to continue and explain it.
Okay. So
for years, and this is a very key part here, for years, the Joaquin LLDM Enterprise was kept secret within the LLDM church. Once again,
Why
it
would
was
you-
kept secret, huh?
Sorry, you missed this. Okay, again.
It's because you have me jump.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
you keep, okay. I know I read it.
This is, and at church, the victims did not agree to have sex with Nason or Joaquin's directions, and they manipulated and abused the culture of the LLDM church. Samuel and Nason manipulated and abused the culture of the LLDM church, which taught obedience to church leadership, to turn church members who feared damnation and other harms into victims of sex crimes.
For years, the Joaquin LLDM enterprise was kept secret within the LDM church. It consisted physically of select members of the church inner circle who abused the power, doctrine, and structure of the church to sexually abuse and exploit other members. There were and are many LLDM church members in Mexico, the United States, and other countries around the world who are not members of the Joaquin LLDM enterprise and had no knowledge of and played no role in the enterprise criminal activities. There were also many other church members who were victimized by the Joaquin LLDM enterprise. So very, very important. There's many did not know, or they still do not know, that about this LLDM enterprise, the Joaquin LLDM enterprise, and they have no knowledge, not even in the United States, Mexico, or other countries.
Because it was what consisted principally
It was a secret
in a select members.
in select members. It was kept, it was secretly between select members of the inner circle of the abuse of power.
And still, secretly, because a lot of people do not know. Okay, so what is the argument, Leroy?
So the argument, here's the argument that they provided. There is a tradition in the United States, a tradition that is older than our nation itself, that proceedings before a grand jury shall generally remain secret. And in regarding Craig, and then he gives a ruling. Under that rule, the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedures codifies and the traditional rule of grand jury secrecy, United States versus Sells. The proper functioning of our grand jury system depends on the secrecy of grand jury proceedings, United States versus Albright. Quoting Douglas Oil Company of California and Petroleum Stops. That's in the, they're giving different cases that they tried to get the documents for the grand jury, which were never given. They were not provided. So they're just giving other cases that they tried to get these documents. And once again, very, very big wording is, there is a tradition in the United States, a tradition that is older than the nation itself, that proceedings before a grand jury shall remain secret.
Why?
Now, in the one, to prevent the escape of those whose indictment may be contemplated, to prevent the escape of those whose indictment may be contemplated.
Why? What that mean?
Means if any names in there appear that they believe that they're going to bring future indictments against or bring in future arrests, those names do not come out, so that they will not be anticipating that there'll be an arrest, or for them to have anticipate to flee the country ahead of time, or do whatever they need to do to avoid the arrest.
Okay.
So
So
that's
these
one.
are the five reasons why.
Right.
Why? Okay, one.
To ensure the utmost freedom to the grand jury in its deliberations, and to prevent persons subject to indictment or their friends for imputing the grand jurors.
Okay.
Meaning the grand jurors can, their names and the person who they are does not come out, and then they will be threatened or by them to be exposed to who they were.
Basically, to give him
The information of who were the grand
to
jurors.
ensure the
Privacy.
privacy of the grand jurors. Okay.
To prevent subordination or pre-jury.
Three.
3, to prevent subordination to pre-jury or tampering with the witnesses who may testify before the grand jury and later appear at the trial of those indicted by it. Those are persons that already testified in the grand jury, because they bring people into the grand jury, they bring persons into the grand jury that they plan to give their testimony, and they want to keep those persons' testimonies as secrecy, or their identity, who they are, so that they will not be prosecuted or be exposed to who they are, because they can come up to them and try to silence them, or to when you're a criminal organization, you will try to do anything you can to silence a person, and just like they did in California, that they try to silence the one victim in California. They already have a victim here that was trying to be silenced. So this is not the first time that they tried to silence a victim. They actually, in this case, they have a person that tried to be silenced because they were going to speak out against Nazon in California. But gladly, she does exist, and gladly, she has been, once again, been given the right to bring this to trial in this federal case. Her case is still being heard. The judge in California told her, you are being heard, and the world has heard you, and the world is still hearing her testimony, and she's here in this indictment, and that's the reason they have Joram and Nunez and Selem Garcia as Joram being arrested, and Selem Garcia as a fugitive, because there is victim that was trying to be silenced because she was going to be speaking in court against Nazon in California. So this is another reason why, right?
Right.
To encourage free and untamed let me get it right. To encourage free and untrammeled disclosures by persons who have information with respect to the commissions of crimes, meaning people that have the knowledge, and they were going to speak against the organization. They might be persons that we do not know, that are already working with the government to be testifying in the money laundering part of the case. They could be the inner ones that we always ask, why have they not spoken, or why they not? Well, they might be speaking here, and they don't want their names to come out because they don't want to expose them. That's another reason.
Because when people know that if
a certain person that
have
knew
access.
knowledge and access to the monies and how the money was run and how the organization was moving their money, if one of those persons is there to speak,
they won't speak if they know if anybody can have access to those documents. I mean, if I'm somebody who knows about something and I'm willing to speak, and I know that the government is going to give the defense my documents, then I'm not going to go speak. So basically, it's really giving them the freedom to protect themselves. Yes.
To protect the innocent accused who is exonerated from disclosure of the fact that he has been under investigation, and from the expense of standing trial where there was no probability of guilt.
So basically,
anyone that's going to testify that had knowledge of what was going on, that also can be accused. In the other sense, they're now going to be a witness to what was going on, which, in the other hand, could also be on the other side, which be a person that could have been arrested for the crimes that were being for trading those crimes in the LDM organization.
Okay.
Enterprise. So these are the reasons that they're explaining why they should not be.
Do you agree with me? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Where are we at? Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead. Keep on reading. Oh, it says, I never knew that there was an enterprise LLDM, as it's supposed to be hidden everything from the eyes of the members, always keeping the people LLDM in the ignorance. Hola, como se thank you for being with us. I did not even know either. I think most of us did not know. I mean, we did not see it. It's been always there, but we never saw it, as the document says. It's a secret. It was a secrecy it was a secret inside the LLDM organization of the church. That there was this group that it was composed of the elite members, of course, because they were helping, and there's some of the Consejo de Obispos, of course, that they're in this group because they were helping. Some of them were like even getting those hotels for Nazon,
Right.
and they are ministers, so they were helping with Nazon's enterprise, Nazon's plans, basically. So yeah, not a lot of us know about that, Sierra Velos.
Right, we didn't even know the inner workings of that secret organization.
Menos, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because of these important interests, grand jury proceedings are entitled to a presumption of secrecy and closure. A presumption of regularity permits the unsealed of grand jury materials only when the party seeking disclosure can establish with particularly a compelling necessary for disclosure. United States versus Procter & Gamble. To satisfy that standard, the party seeking disclosure must show that the grand jury materials they seek, they are needed to avoid a possible injustice in other judicial proceedings, and that the need for disclosure is greater than the need of the continued secrecy, and that their request is structured to cover any materials so needed. Albright, quoting in the grand jury subpoena, see United States versus Rodriguez, and then it gives the case number at the burden in which the party seeking disclosure to show a particularized need that outweigh the necessary for secrecy. A review of the grand jury minutes is rarely permitted without specifically factual allegations of government misconduct.
That's what you were saying before.
Right. They have to show that the government had
That whatever they think the Nazon's lawyers or Nazon thinks is more stronger or important, or like it's gonna overrule that secrecy, then they will let them open those documents. But that says that a review of a grand jury minutes is rarely permitted without specific factual allegations
of
a government misconduct. So it mentions it here again that our government
they have to have proof that the government
did
something wrong
to put
Nazon and Eva and Joram in the position they're in, being held. Well, Eva and Joram are innocent until proven guilty. Nazon has already committed, has already pleaded guilty to 3 sexual crimes. So he's already been sentenced. He's facing new charges in this, which is also he's innocent until proven guilty in the new charges.
Yeah.
Discussion. Right.
Am I in the record?
On page 10.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Nazon cannot carry his burden to justify the disclosure of grand jury materials,
meaning that we find that the government does not find that there's enough information that Nazon has provided to them that they need to get the grand jury materials, and they can explain why they don't feel like he has provided enough evidence or enough information for them to for Nazon to be asking for the grand jury transcripts.
Right.
In this motion seeking extraordinary relief, and it mentions another case, Gasper, and you can find it under, and it gives you the case number. Nazon does not even acknowledge the high burden he must overcome to unseal grand jury materials, much less demonstrate how he has satisfied the burden. Nazon arguments to unseal the grand jury materials reduce essentially to requests to embark on a fishing expedition to find support for his forthcoming motion to dismiss the indictment.
dismiss the indictment. But Nazon's arguments for dismissal are futile, and he cannot overcome the firm presumptions of grand jury secrecy and regularity by speculating that he might find support for meritless claims somewhere in the grand jury materials. In any event, Nazon has not established with particularly a compelling need for the unusual remedy of unsealing the grand jury materials because none of his participated dismissed arguments actually depends on what happened in the grand jury or involves a claim of government misconduct. Basically, it's stating that Nazon is trying to get the grand jury indictment to try to look through them to see if there's something in there
But they help to
that can
dismiss
help
that case.
him to bring any future motions. But in particular, they do not know exactly a pinpoint where they can show that the government had
Misconduct.
misconduct when they provided the information to the grand jury in order to bring the indictment on Nazon, Eva, and Joram, and Selem, and Sonrosa, and on Azalea. So they are stating they did not provide enough information in order to obtain the documents of the grand jury.
I remember
Uh,
this is the
All they're doing is trying to fish. They're trying to see what they can throw the cast out, right? Throw the casting out, try to hook something, and if they find something, then they want to find and wait and try to put weight on that, whatever they decide they find, and
To
try to
help
put
the
weight on it
defense.
to help them bring future motions. So that's what
interesting.
their first.
And remember that
Miss-
the defense, the government is stating this, the fiscal is stating this.
This is the government, right? This is
He say, no. All you're trying to do,
is fish.
Nazon and his lawyers, all they're trying to do is, once again, go in there, look for documents, look for something that it can help their case, but there's not enough reason
At this
for
point, they have not proved that the government has committed any misconduct.
misconduct. So, no.
So they should not receive the grand jury in transcripts.
Exactly.
Basically, that's what the first paragraph says. That paragraph says. A. Nazon constitutional arguments do not overweigh the need of grand jury secrecy. So, but this is where they try to use Nazon lawyers. They try to use the First Amendment right. Their First Amendment right is so they try to use the First Amendment to obtain those grand jury indictment, right?
Mhm.
Their grand jury transcripts. Nazon fails to explain why his anticipated motion to dismiss the indictment based on the free exercise clause of the First Amendment justifies his extreme request to order the disclosure of grand jury materials. Nazon's anticipated motion to dismiss is not compelling reason for disclosure of the grand jury materials because the argument he has previewed will fail regardless of what happens in the grand jury.
So it doesn't matter. His failure to disclosure, let's say, Nazon's anticipated motion, the one he put before, that they were given an answer to, this was the answer to that one, to dismiss is not a compelling reason for the disclosure of grand jury materials because the argument he has previewed will fail regardless of what happens in the grand jury.
That's not gonna, right, because it's not nothing to do with the grand jury. Whatever he's trying to say that his First Amendment rights are being violated, it's still not gonna hold because of whatever they find in the grand jury.
Dice, como si those ministers, wood-ticking ministers. Now I see how fake they are and me always paying double respect to them.
We all did.
Yes, we all
Oh,
did.
yeah, we all
They
did.
say, of course, the defense attorneys are working hard because they are getting paid regardless of the results. And every motion,
Every-
les sirva veloz, they're getting money.
Every motion they submit to the court, that's a new charge that they get to charge the Nazon. That every motion that gets submitted, it's a new payment that they receive.
Yep.
The purpose of the requirement is to make it adequate. Let's see, I got that right. That's all right. Or to survive a motion to dismiss, the indictment need to do little more than track the language of the statute regarding the state the
Charge.
time and place of the in approximate
Right.
terms and the alleged crime. Huh?
Oh, that's not right yet. Okay.
Oh, right.
Oh, to survive the motion to dismiss. Okay. An indictment need.
To survive a motion to dismiss,
Uh-huh.
an indictment need do little more than track the language of the statute charge and state the time or place in approximate terms of the alleged crime.
Okay, listen to this. To survive a motion.
Mhm.
Okay. To dismiss. An indictment need to do little more than track the language of the statute charged and state the time and place in approximate terms of the alleged crime. Basically, what he's saying, all the indictment needs to do is to say what happened, where it happened, and what was the other one? The time and the place,
Approximately the time and alleged and of the alleged crime.
and that's it. That's all
That's all
Nassau's
they need.
lawyers
That's all
need
they
to know.
That's all they need.
They don't need to know what, when, details, none of that stuff. It's very important because they want to see those documents and they start arguing that they need to defend when this is not a time to argue. The time to argue is in the trial. That's when you argue. And so that's what they say, like, no. All you need to know is that he says that he did it, when he did it, and where he did it. That's it.
Right. That's all the indictment has to state.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the indictment states. Basically, what the indictment states is that all the basic needs. They're just meeting the basic needs of what indictment has to state.
You don't need to know more.
There's
You need
nothing
to
else you need
look
to
for
know.
anything else. As long as we didn't do something, you don't prove that we missed
That
this
we did
content,
something wrong, that
then
we commit something, that we did something wrong or misconduct in what we did. If you cannot prove that you did it, then you don't meet the indictments, because we do meet the minimum requirements of the indictment that you need it. That's
Yeah.
all. That's what they're
so that's
saying.
very good to understand. That's very important to understand. Go ahead.
It is not proper for a court deciding a motion to dismiss to whether to weigh whether.
The purpose.
The purpose of this requirement is to give the defendant adequate notice of the charges to permit him to plead formal jeopardy upon prosecution and to enable him to prepare a defense.
So there's a reason for
Right.
the indictment.
Right. It's just to give him information that he needs, and what he's being accused of, what are the charges he's being accused of, in order for the defense to get going and preparing for trial.
Yeah.
Okay. It is not proper for a court deciding a motion to dismiss to weigh whether certain factual allegations are constant with the charge violations. Then
Basically, the judge doesn't
invading the
have
inviolable function of the jury in our criminal justice system and upsetting the policy choices reflected in the criminal discovery rules.
basically that's not the time right now
Right,
to
but it's
weigh
not the time to go to see
if they did violate his rights or
rights
not.
or not.
That's basically up in trial.
That's on right.
So no, you don't need to get
You don't need
those
to get the
documents.
transcripts of the grand jury.
Right.
The indictment here, on the indictment that was presented, the indictment here clearly satisfies these basic pleading standards.
Mhm.
Then Anazon does not argue otherwise. Each count of the indictment tracks the language of the alleged statutory violations and provides approximate details about the time and place of the alleged crimes. These allegations enable Nason Evad Moram to raise any double jeopardy arguments and prepare for trial. Nothing about the grand jury materials that Nason seeks will affect that analysis.
So basically, the indictment says exactly what it needs to say.
Basically,
Time.
they're telling Nason's lawyer Jackson, we are following the basic rules of an indictment. We are following the basic rules of the indictment. We are providing the date. approximately time, approximately who they are, the violation he committed, and that's all you need. That's all you need, because that is the basic information you need for an indictment, and that's what we're following. We're following the rules that we are giving you the basic information, and with that information, you should start preparing for trial. You should start preparing for trial.
And it says nothing about the grand jury materials that NASON 6 will affect that analysis. So no, you don't. Again, you don't need the grand jury arguments. Continue.
NASON nevertheless asserts that indictment will need to be dismissed because he had a free exercise right to coerce adults to participate in commercial sex acts if the means of coercion, including promising spiritual blessings to victims, threatening victims with spiritual damnation, and others harms, and otherwise making threats that related to the victim's religious beliefs.
Again, what?
NASON's
Listen to this. Listen to this.
NASON nevertheless asserts that the indictment will need to be dismissed because he had a free exercise right to coerce adults to participate in commercial sex acts if the means of coercion included promising promising spiritual blessings to victims, threaten victims with spiritual damnation, and other harms, and otherwise making threats that related to the victim's religious beliefs.
NASON nevertheless. Wow. ¿Se escucharon? Did you hear that? He claims that he has the right to manipulate,
Coerce.
What else? That the indictment will need to be dismissed because he had a free exercise right to coerce adults to participate in commercial sex acts if the means of coercion included included promising spiritual blessings to the victims, threaten victims with the spiritual damnations and other harms, and otherwise making threats that related to the victims' religious beliefs. That argument, and then he responds to this. Basically, what he's saying, he can go and coerce anybody as long as they believe him. If NASON tells a victim, hey, you're going to go to hell if you don't have sex with me, he has the right to do that. That's what he's saying right here, right?
That was his argument.
That's his argument.
That's what the motion that
because
NASON submitted to the court.
He has freedom of speech.
Right.
So he can be an apostle if he wants to. He can coerce anybody.
It's just like when they state that he has the right to ask you for money or an offering, and you give it to him. He could say, well, if you don't give it to me, you're going to be condemned.
It's like when in the church.
Are you going to be saved?
What would they say in church to us about giving the tithes?
They didn't even give tithes. You're not going to be saved. You're going to be.
Mandamiento,
if you do not give your blessing, your tithes, well, God's not going to bless you. God's not going to give you. You're going to lose. You're not going to have blessings. Basically, the word blessing was used, and faith is used in everything. And what they're stating is, if that's what NASON stated to them, that if the victim was receiving blessings or threatening victims of spiritual damnation and the other harms, and otherwise making threats at the related to the victim's religious beliefs, basically under using the First Amendment right, was that these adults that were coerced in believing in that, well, that was upon their own religious beliefs. So they should not be condemned. But there's other factors that come into against all this. When the freedom of right, your freedom of religion, your right to the right to your freedom beliefs are violated, or when you violate a law and you break a law. When you break a law, your religious beliefs get thrown out of the way.
Yeah,
your First Amendment rights are now that breaking the law oversees or the belief, your right of free religion. When you break a law that oversees or over trumps the right to freedom of your freedom, the right of freedom of religion, you can coerce somebody or you can manipulate somebody, but at the moment that you break a law doing those things,
Right.
that oversees your right to what you've done. So at the moment that he commits the crime, because he has alleged crimes that he has committed.
Well, that's what the next paragraph is going to say, that this is wrong
So
because
the moment he commits the crime, that crime oversees the right to
freedom of religion.
religion.
Y mira lo que dice aquí. This paragraph, what it means. So this paragraph is basically the prosecution mocking or rejecting a defense argument they believe Nason is making under the First Amendment and free exercise of religion. So it's basically the prosecution is mocking or
Right.
rejecting the defense argument.
Right.
They say what it's saying in plain English is this: the government is arguing that Nason's defense is essentially claiming, because this is what they claim, because these actions were tied to religion beliefs, a spiritual authority, blessings, or threats of a spiritual punishment, the conduct is protected as religion.
Under the
Basically,
right.
Basically, under religion, Nason is protected.
That's
By he's making this crime, he's protected because it's his claiming that First Amendment right.
Right. Under the First Amendment right, he could say what he wants to say in the form
And
of
protect
religion.
him. Yeah. And he says the paragraph says he is asserting that the indictment should be dismissed because he supposedly had a religious right to pressure or coerce adults into commercial sex acts if the coercion involved promises of a spiritual blessings, threats of a spiritual condemnation, or manipulation tied to victims' religious beliefs. Why this is important? The prosecution is framing the defense argument as extremely and dangerous. They are basically saying, this is what the prosecution is saying: the First Amendment does not protect coercion, like you're just saying right now,
Right.
trafficking or criminal conduct just because religion is involved. This becomes a constitutional battle. Defense side arguing religious doctrine, spiritual counseling, or religious speech is being criminalized, and the government says, arguing this is not protected religion. It's coercion and criminal conduct. There you go. So Nason's argument is that he can do any coercion if it's his First Amendment.
First Amendment right.
And then what does, keep on reading the next what they say.
No, that's what the next paragraph states. That argument is obviously wrong on the law. And
Exactly.
unsealing the grand jury materials that Nason seeks will not make it right. The First Amendment does not insulate a church or its members from judicial inquiry when a charge is made that their activities violated a penal statute. In a racketeering conspiracy prosecution, the jury could consider the defendant's religious beliefs and affiliation with a religious group, where probative of an issue in a criminal prosecution, such as how the religious teachings were used to justify, rationalize, and promote crime, and to show how a religious leader exerted influence and control over the members and how he uses preachings to justify heinous crimes. The sex trafficking laws are not neutral laws and of general applicability that do not violate the free exercise clause, even if as Nason appears to claim they impose an incident burden on a religious practice, United States versus Amar, upholding a kidnapping statute as applied to any conduct within its reach without regard to whether the conduct was religious motive, United States versus Maji, rejecting an argument that the First Amendment bars labor trafficking charges that involve in the use of threats to enforce religious doctrine and manipulating victims' fear of what happened to in the afterlife.
All right. I think we should stop here. We can do yes, we can do a second part tomorrow to read out the rest. That way we can explain. This part is very important. The First Amendment does not exactly what you were saying, how the law of the crimes they committed is not protected by the First Amendment. So we're going to explain this tomorrow, the second part, and we're going to get a little bit more deep in explaining how does the defense. We still need a lot of things that, a lot more to cover more things that the government is stating back as a response. And we need to finish this before Friday, because Friday, my people,
we have
the rebuttal. The
rebuttal of the Nason's lawyers.
Yes, so we must finish this before this week is over. Before Friday, because we're gonna have the rebuttal. You guys have any questions?
And next Saturday we'll be here with the rebuttal.
Saturday, yes.
And those that want to hear it, we'll have it in Spanish, and then we'll have it in English.
We can make it
Saturday. We'll have it in Spanish, and then during the week we'll do it
in English. So you guys are still with us. You have any questions? You have any comments before we close the channel? Anything? This is a diagnostic that he is going to go to sleep already.
He was to sleep, and we take too long.
Because we took so long.
We took too long, and it's boring, and
because he doesn't.
He never said
that.
It's just late. Some places it's already 2:30
well,
in the
here is
morning.
1:30 in the morning.
Here's 1:30 in the morning. In other places, barely 11:30. In the east, on the west coast is 11:30. On the east coast is already 2:30 in the morning. And here we are on a Monday morning, still live. But
thank you guys
the time
for.
We have. I mean, right? It's been very.
I know we have a very little audience right now because of the time.
But
second, because it's in English.
We have our English audience.
But they
English audience
do hear us during the day.
Right, they hear us on like they say in Spanish, the diferido.
Diferido.
And our English audience usually listens to us on a
Diagnostic, dice que está muy buena la plática, pero ya tiene mucho sueño.
I was just kidding. Diagnostic.
Me too.
I understand.
I'm sleepy
late.
too.
I know. I'm just kidding. I was just my comments. Just don't take them personally. It's just me making a comment. Just a sarcastic. Let's do it. It was a sarcastic comment.
Well, thank you guys for being with us today.
Thanks.
If you have any questions and
I know that those that listen to us in English,
don't forget to leave your like.
You'll call me and ask any questions.
Yes, and don't forget to leave your like. You guys, even if you hear it in English,
in Spanish.
In English.
Yes.
Yeah, leave your
and
like.
Speak Spanish, and I know many don't understand. But
we promise we're gonna bring more programs in English, because we know we are hearing that you are listening to us and you're asking a lot of questions and you want to know what's going on. We have a lot of Spanish-speaking channels that are covering all this.
Yes.
And so we know that they're being covered. We know they understand.
The information is coming out.
It's coming out, but in English, it's tell us what's going on. We want to know.
And I do provide these documents to the Spanish-speaking audience.
Don't worry, Rogelio. Okay, he's good. He understands.
I do help provide these documents so that the Spanish that have their Spanish
audience
podcast, they can also explain it to the audience in their own way, because everyone has their own way of doing the podcast. But
yes,
but we're here for support, and we're here in our own way doing the documents in its entirety, because that's what I wanted to do for the longest time. Yes. I believe reading the whole document brings more the information.
Understanding, not everybody has the time to sit down.
Not just the little bits and pieces that come out. Like lately I've been seeing everywhere the tip of the iceberg. Well, what was said about the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
And then they gave a little a synonymous of what was said, but usually those are all in Spanish, and it's like, what's going on? They call me and tell me, what happened to tip of the iceberg again? What happened? And I said, well, I'm gonna do a live listen to me there, and I'll explain it to you there, because I don't want to spend a whole 2-hour phone call trying to explain it. Anyway,
Dice, como observa,
Anyways.
very interesting learning too. Me too. I learned a lot with this man right here. He's into all that, and he explains to me, and sometimes he blows my head, and I'm like, hold on, explain to me again. But yeah, I mean,
and then
I
she
get
wants
to
me to say here
understand.
what I told her, and I'm like,
I know, that's why I'm like, keep
what
on
did I
interrupting.
told her? Which of everything that I told her she wants me to explain?
Because when you tell me, you're very excited at the moment, because you're like, it's something new. You're like, oh, you hear this and this and that, and I'm like, we gotta go live, we gotta go share with everybody. But thank you guys for joining us, and thank you, and don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to share, like, and
subscribe for those that are not subscribed, and
Thank
those that
you. You're
are subscribed.
welcome.
Thank you for being subscription to our channel, and thanks for everyone that asks us any questions, that send me questions to ask, even if you don't agree with us. But that's okay. Everybody can agree or disagree. That's what this world is about. Agreements and disagreements. So like you are with your spouse. I disagree with her. She disagrees with me. And we meet up somewhere in the middle.
And I don't care. All right, guys. Take care. Be careful. And God bless you.
Amen.
See you next time.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Bye.
God bless.
Más de 30 years side by side. Rogelio y Alma, no questions, no lies. Cameras rolling, lights on bright. Working for a vision they call divine. Nos dijeron this is God's will. No questions allowed, just be still. But time don't lie, truth always shows. And cracks appear behind the show. One day we walked away in silence, con el corazón lleno de scars. 6 years out, healing slowly, but the truth followed us wherever we are. We're coming back, but not the same. Con el mismo equipo, different aim. Same hands, same skills, new direction. Now we speak facts, truth, core protection. We're coming back, no fear, no chains. Con documentos, not just faith. What they hid is coming to light. This ain't revenge, this is what's right. Using the gear we used back then, las mismas cámaras, but now we explain. Mixers, mics, everything they gave, now exposing lies they tried to save. This ain't gossip, this ain't hate. It's court files, dates, federal states. No es lo que dicen from the stage. It's what's written, page by page, yeah. They called us rebels, dijeron traición. But lies don't survive real information. If truth was wrong, tell me why they fight so hard just to keep it quiet. We're coming back, but not the same. Con el mismo equipo, different aim. Same hands, same skills, new direction. Now we speak facts, truth, core protection. We're coming back sin miedo, yeah. La mentira shakes when truth arrives. What they buried won't stay buried tonight. This ain't hate, this is life. We didn't come back for views, no volvimos por fama. We came back because someone has to say it. Y ya no tenemos nada que perder. We're coming back, standing tall La verdad no needs permission to call. If it was fake, it's gonna fall. Light always